Hello and welcome to Winter Disco Tabletop Gaming. We've got two new Horus Heresy Imperial Fists models coming at ya. Coming very soon, I hope. They look stunning. Yeah, I mean, all the Traitors for the different legions for Horus Heresy look pretty stunning. Lots and lots of detail in there. And I gotta say, I was gonna talk about this later in the video, but we'll just get it out of the way now. These sculpts are far better than what you get for even 40k Marines, Primaris, special characters, things like that. I want to see them in 40k, or at least in plastic from Games Workshop proper. Simply because the price will be a little bit cheaper. Maybe. But I think more people will buy them. And therefore, Games Workshop will see that people want these kind of sculpts, these very, very specific, army-specific sculpts. And that's what you get with these. These are Imperial Fists. I think even if you took the fists off them and not the paint job, you'd know that they're the fists. Okay, so it does say the number 7 on them in Roman numerals. We get that. But otherwise, it still has like that Maltese cross and a few other bits and pieces that go, yep, this is Imperial Fists. And I love that. As soon as you see this model, you go, Imperial Fist model. And what you get in 40k is a complete lack of all this removal of very specific iconography, very specific detail on models. And you can argue like, well, they're older style armor, different earlier marks. Now we've got up to like Mark 10, whatever. I think that's just a pretty poor excuse. I think having this kind of detail is very, very important because we've got to remember these armies are very different to each other. I've been reading and listening to a lot of lore on the different legions from the time of the Horus Heresy. They are vastly different. It's not just a different paint job and a different name. They are completely different armies, and you definitely see that in the Horus Heresy, particularly from the Forgeworld releases. What you get for the Blood Angels is very different to the Dark Angels. Even though they are Space Marine armies, they're very different. And I think that doesn't only come from the unit choice and the background and the lore and rules choices and things like that, unit selection, all that kind of stuff. It comes down to how they're designed. Because I come to this hobby from very much a model perspective. Like, these are the models. I'm not particularly interested in how they play too much. I'm interested in what they look like and what feelings and emotions and story they evoke. And you get that a lot with the Forgeworld models. One of the issues is I think that to create one of these models in resin is far easier than spending thousands and thousands of dollars on a metal mold and then pressing it. I think it's far easier to do it this way because you can actually do it by hand. If they're resin casts, you can create the molds by hand in silicon. I'm not sure exactly how their mold process works, but I get that impression. Not that it's hand poured or handcrafted, but you know, it's far easier to create the molds for these models. So you can have very highly detailed models created and produced in a very cost-effective way. Of course, that's fine. But what I'm saying is that I want to see this in the Primaris range. I want to see this in the normal plastic range. I want to see some models that are specific to the different chapters. And you just don't get that. You get shoulder pads and a few bits and pieces. I want more than that. I want the armor that's hundreds of years old, thousands of years old. It's going to be adorned with things. It's going to have things affixed to it. If you have a character or a named Space Marine that has the same armor, it's going to have very personal touches to it. And I really think that the plastic kits lack that in a big way, which is why I'm excited that we do get these kind of models, the two Traitors. So let's actually talk about the models themselves. I was going to go into that later, but you know. So obviously these are for the 7th Legion, for the Imperial Fists. So 2 Traitors, one in power armor and the other in Tartaros Terminator armor, which I have to say is very different power armor to a degree. I'm using the inverted commas here, you can't see me, but I've got my fingers up in the air going different. It's the same mark, power armor, Terminator armor. Yeah, okay, we know that. It's not the same as the Blood Angels, not the same as the Dark Angels, not the same as any other chapter or any other Legion. So that's why I really like these models. Yeah, like I said, Imperial Fist models, you get straight away. And it makes me just want to buy them just as a model, as a paint project, something to sit on the desk. Because at the moment I've got a nameless generic Stormcast model in front of me and a nameless generic Primaris Marine in front of me. I don't know anything about them. They have no character to them. Even though these Praetor models are not characters, but they're elite models, you can see so much about it, not just from the way that they're sculpted, but their pose, the attention to detail, and a lot of things like that. You just get these models have some kind of character, some kind of history, and you don't get that with the other ones. Yes, like I said, they are elite models, so yeah, they're gonna have a bit more experience and a bit more age to them, in that things are gonna be added to them. They're a bit more, you know, crafted armor, crafted power armor and Terminator armor, whatever. But that's why I love these models, and I've been looking a lot at these models lately. Not just these new ones, but a lot of the other ones from the Legions from Forgeworld, simply because they are unique in their army design. Like I said, you don't get that. You get some shoulder pads that have the chapter insignia on there. Okay, not very exciting. Makes me want to get into the Horus Heresy if I could afford it. It's a bit pricey to get into that. But hopefully with Horus Heresy 2.0, and the rumor is that there will be plastic stuff, hopefully we get some really interesting sculpts, not just generic sculpts, but sculpts that are very specific to the Legion. So that's what my hope is. But either way, I've kind of ranted a bit in this video. They're really exquisite models. I'm interested to see on the leg, on the outside leg, what that is, because it's on the upper leg as well. It looks like more of a panel that's sort of inserted with some kind of pattern on it. It's really hard to tell exactly what that is. But again, even you have like the little flourishes on the armor. I love the rivets on the armor and like the trim. It just adds so much more detail to it, far more interesting. And you can do some really more interesting things. So actually get more shading in there. The panels themselves are far more separate from a visual perspective. You can see that they're separate. I mean, I've never really liked those old backpacks, but you know, that's my personal preference. Then we got the Terminator armor. Again, the same thing, like just little touches of detail that make you go, yes, this is an Imperial Fist armor. When you have the Blood Angels one, very different. They don't have like these grates on them. They have other different flourishes, more, I guess, edging on the different panels and more flourishes, like different curved bits of ornate carved metal or cast metal in them, where this is much more utilitarian, much more structural because they're Imperial Fists. It says a lot about that chapter. Yeah, I think that there's a lot that you can get from simple model design, and comes down to, from a technical perspective, that with the resin cast, Forgeworld are able to do this because they're going to do far more limited runs, because they're not going to be creating as many. So you can create things that are a bit more detailed because the technology also allows for it, depending on how they're casting. I'd really like to get a bit more information on how they cast these. I don't know if it's going to be like silicon casts or silicon molds and then it's hand poured in there. I don't know. I'd love to know. If anyone knows, let me know in the comments, because I'm interested to see how they actually do it. Anyway, we also got some more cool stuff on the page itself, which is just this icon. This kind of stuff I love. Now I just want to use these symbols. If I did Imperial Fist Army, I'd be putting these kind of symbols on them. And I love that little kind of thing. It doesn't mean much, but it adds stuff to the model itself. And then we have this bad boy image. Look at that. Such a good image. Oh, baby. Yeah. Art. I love it. I love it. So there we go. That's it. More me rambling about the difference between Games Workshop and Forgeworld models, but you know, something I'm getting more into the Forgeworld side of things. I've stayed away for so long simply because I don't want to deal with resin, but really it's not that difficult. You just clean it, give it a wash, and it's fine. But yeah, I'm starting to move there. Anyway, let me know what you think. Out of these two, head to head, which one is the better one? Are we going the power armor or the Tartaros Terminator armor? I like them for different reasons. I'm gonna go for the Terminator armor. That's my personal opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments. So that's it. I'm out of here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.